this is the horror section, our new horror series, podcast, and YouTube about all things horror. We are big horror fans at the Valkyries. Predominantly myself and Georgie are the big horror heads. And we're going to be looking at different horror films and different genres. We'll be looking at some specifically, and we'll be looking at what makes some really good horrors really good, and also what makes them really bad. So we'll do a big mixture of all the fun things to do with horror films. Today's horror section is all about home invasion horror films. So we did also, sorry, there's the cat, so don't mind her having a wash in the foreground of this whole video. So Parsnips here, and we're talking home invasion horror films. We did a big article a little while ago where you can check out a couple more. We're going to be talking about some that are on the list, and there has got a few more that we aren't talking about, and includes a real handy flowchart for finding the perfect horror when, depending on what you're in the mood for.
It's a great flowchart. I mean, I love a flowchart anyway. This is a particularly good flowchart.
Thank you. So if we kick off the party then with a pretty old school horror, and we will start it off with Panic Room.
Yes, we will.
Why are we starting with Panic Room, Georgie?
I think my exact words before we started this video were, I know it's not horror, but we're including it. I'm not biased, I'm just a bit gay.
So here we are, Panic Room.
And David was an incredible director, but mostly the first thing. I
would, I don't know, I would definitely consider Panic Room to be a horror film. Even though, yeah, I mean, I know it's like more coined as like a thriller, but I definitely think, there we go, sorry, the cat's gone. I definitely think like it's got like a lot of the really good horror elements. Like it's horrible.
There's so much suspense the whole time. Like you constantly sat there like on tenterhooks.
Yeah, absolutely. So Panic Room came out in 2002 by director David Fincher.
Fantastic.
I mean, I suppose he's not really known to be a horror director, is he? He is a good thriller director. If you look at things like Seven, and
I would put Seven down as psychological horror again, though.
Yeah, I mean it is
Head in the box. People have seen it. That's not a spoiler.
What's in the box? But also like the guy that's greed and sloth and all of that stuff is horrifying. Like it's genuinely like ugh. And yeah, I've actually just finished watching Mindhunter, which he's like really heavily involved with, and it's so Finchery. It's amazing. Yeah. It's just like watching a whole series of Seven or Zodiac. It was really good. Zodiac, right? Zodiac. See, Zodiac's not a horror film.
That's a thriller.
Definite thriller. I would almost just say that that is a crime film.
Yeah.
Like it's even more of a cop drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've gone off topic. We're talking Panic Room. So Panic Room stars Jodie Foster, our queen, our love, Jodie Foster, and a very small little baby Christian Stewart. Georgie's love and wife and love. Doesn't it also star a very young Jared Leto as well?
I think so, like a baby version.
With cornrows.
A baby version, you know what I mean?
A baby version of Jared Leto with cornrows.
That was the whole thing.
So, yeah. Again, this is a good gateway. If you're not sure if it's for you, and you're not sure that you even really love horror films, Panic Room might be a good place to start.
And yeah, and you love women is a little bit. I think that what Panic Room does is home invasion is like a really weird topic because you hate it, don't you?
Yes.
Like, you cannot. There are some bits of horror that really wig people out. Some people can't cope with gore. Some people cannot cope with demons and stuff. If you're not sure if you're going to like the concept of home invasion, this is one that you can kind of dip your toe into, test the waters, and if it's too much, then don't watch some of the other ones on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. Yeah. It's a really good gateway. If you're not sure if it's for you, it's a great film anyway. So yeah, definitely worth having a little look at Panic Room. So moving swiftly on to some that are a little bit more advanced.
I like that.
We have Hush, which is 2016 from Mike Flanagan. So Mike Flanagan recently also did Doctor Sleep.
Yes, he did. A+ casting in that, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some strange choices, I thought, but an interesting film overall. Hush is a really kind of typical home invasion. So she's alone, single female, in the woods, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, and there's a masked intruder.
And she's deaf.
Which makes the whole thing 100 times more terrifying. There's a scene in particular where I'm sure she's just sitting in a chair and she's like she's a writer, so she's sort of come away to do some good writing and get some focus. And she's just sitting and working, or she's sitting and watching a bit of TV, and he just walks past. And it's like, she just has no idea because she can't hear his footsteps. So what I thought it did really interestingly is what A Quiet Place went on to do, and is really is to really make use of how that sense being taken away from you like really like ramps up the terror.
Yeah, for sure. I think that like I said, I was just about to say like A Quiet Place, that whole sensory deprivation in a certain way is something you don't really think about, and then when it's put in front of you, like, actually wait. And that's obviously coming from a very privileged place to say that it's not something I've ever had to think about. That's not the case for everybody, you know. I think it's a good film in that it kind of gives you that other aspect that people may not have thought of in these situations, to make you thought it was bad already, well, you know, that kind of thing.
And it does it sort of takes a trope that we've seen before and just adds that extra element of fear to it. And it is really good. And it stars Kate Siegel, who is just great always. So you'll have seen her in the House on no, it's not the House on Haunted Hill, is it? It's the Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, I can never say that right.
No, I always get the wrong haunted house and the wrong hill.
Betrayal of the board game. I always call it. That's not the right thing.
It's not Cluedo.
No, damn it.
Okay, so
great film, Hush. Makes you sit there, and it makes you kind of get like super involved. Like, turn him, he's there, and it's really like
you just really want to help her, and it really makes you think, like you say, about how would you survive if someone suddenly took away one of your senses. And it's almost, we see a lot of horror films, especially using like the mask of darkness. So we see a lot of people stumbling around, but they're using the fact that they can hear the footsteps and they can hear things being broken to find their way out, or to find the intruder, to find the killer, or whatever it may be. However, Maddie in Hush obviously just has not got that option at all. She really just has to rely on her wits.
Exactly, and score is such an important part of horror films. Like the score and the tension that is built in those negative spaces and the silences, that's a huge part. And I think it's a bit like the infamous Buffy episode, but like, you know, that was a whole revolutionary thing to not have that element of sound and hearing. And it's great. Watch Hush.
Absolutely. Go and watch Hush. Hush is a perfect Friday night, get some friends, get some pizza, slap that on horror film. Really good film.
You want to watch Hush on Friday night?
Always. So we're going to go back 10 years to Eel, or otherwise known as Them.
God, is that how long ago it was?
Yeah, 2006. So even longer. So it was a long time ago. So Eel / Them is known, what you'll know maybe more sort of from the American remake called The Strangers.
It's had many an iteration, has it?
It has, yeah, it definitely has. I would heartily recommend watching the original French version. They does have those tiny, stumbly Roblox subtitles, but just watch it. Just get over it. It's worth it.
Read, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's worth it. I saw Eel in Fact in Liverpool when I was in college. It was a little college trip. And I think it was one of the first non-English films that I'd seen. I can't remember whether I saw Pan's Labyrinth before or after, but I think either would have been the catalyst to then going on and watching more sort of non-English horror, especially.
They're very good intros you've picked there.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, why would you, I'm going to go on to like a rant, so we're going to table that argument about world horror, because you were missing out on so much if you only watch the American remakes. So anyway,
that's a whole episode different.
That's a whole other episode, guys. So Eel then is about a nice young couple who have bought a nice house in sort of semi-rural France. It's a nice little village. It's a nice typical French country house. They're just sort of doing it up. They're very sweet. They're very pretty. And then one night they get attacked. And it's horrid.
Yeah, and it's again, like we were saying about the whole sensory deprivation this one relies on the fact, like you said, the whole cover of darkness. It's at night, no lights work, and they have to navigate their way through this without being able to really see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to give too much away in case people haven't seen it, but what really made it chilling for me was when you find out at the end, it's explained a little more in the American version, but there was no real motive behind the invasion. And
like full vengeance or anything. It was
and a lot of these films are, for a reason. So Panic Room and one we'll talk about later on, Intruders, they have like a robbery aspect. People have inside information and they know that X has this amount of money in the house, and they know that they're going to be away and then they're not on holiday, or they're going to be this and they can go. Same as Don't Breathe, that sort of thing. This is really separate from that, and that's what really sort of put it on edge for me. It sort of had that Funny Games vibe.
Because you always say that could be me, but then you go, I'm not a millionaire with like a hidden fortune, or I haven't wronged someone. It literally was just randomized. It could literally be anybody, and that's scary.
And that really brings it home, and I think that's one of the really interesting aspects about that film particularly. So as I just mentioned, then we have Intruders, which is from 2015. Adam Schindler. I can't read my own writing. So that's a really interesting one in terms of the sort of genre getting turned on its head. So
no other genre in the universe does that like horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we get onto the world horror, we've got some,
We will die on this haunted hill about how horror films are not only genre defining year after year, but they create some of the most incredible tropes and techniques and skills. Industry changing. And we will die on this hill.
That's for
See, it's happening. It's happening already. We will die on this hill. So Intruders then is sort of centered around Anna as our lead character, who has agoraphobia. So she cannot leave her house, but her dad's just passed away. So she sort of forms a friendship with I can't remember if he's like a nurse or if he's like a, you know, like a home care assistant
He's
type.
like a carer.
He's some sort of like, or he might even be like a funeral directory type. He comes to the house and they've formed a friendship. However, he's noticed that there is quite a bit of money in the house. So he sees, you know, a crime of opportunity with some friends to go and break in. She's not going to do anything. She's agoraphobic. You know, she's agoraphobic. They can just get in, get out, run out, and hopefully they'll be fine.
Nice and easy.
Nice and easy. But
How
wrong they were. So the tagline for Intruders was, "They should have left her alone." Ooh. And it's true. They really should have done, because it goes from
most men and women though.
Well, yeah, absolutely true. Just leave her alone. Just don't talk to them. It goes from like really bad to like really, really bad for those guys, like quite quickly. And that's a funny one, because when as it does sort of turn it round on its head, on its own axis, you sort of find yourself supporting this character who is about to be wronged, but maybe isn't making some great choices now morally. But
yeah, you get flip reversed a lot in terms of, why am I feeling bad for you, but I should be feeling bad for you, but I kind of feel a little bit bad for
yeah, and it's a really good one for something a little bit different from these films. So, because there are a lot, and a lot came out in quite a short period of time. The majority of these films are all in a 6 to 7 year period, and there's a lot of them. And some of them do get quite samey. So some of the ones that really stuck out for us with these types of ones that sort of do bring something a little bit different to the genre.
Yeah, I think all the ones that we're talking about in this video and in the article as well, which will obviously link, are ones that have an added element of something. You know, that aren't just like, oh no, they're in the walls. Sorry.
Why would you? Oh my god, unnecessary.
Oh no, there's something. Oh no, but also this other thing, which I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. So another great example for that is Don't Breathe, which I mentioned a little bit before. So you don't really like the main characters that you're following on from, arguably. I sort of was like, I do not care about what happens to you. They break into the house of a old reclusive blind man. So already I'm a bit like, well, that's really like bad.
That's bad.
That's just bad, guys. No, it's really bad form.
Don't do that. That's horrible.
You know, I really don't like that sort of thing, and no one does. And and so you're like, already you're like, oh, I don't like you guys. I sort of hope you get arrested by the police. But then you realise that actually this blind guy, maybe, there's a lot more to him, and there's a lot more going on. And then they get, things just go from like strange to downright crazy in
to strange
bananas. It's an interesting one, because again, you're sort of like, I don't really like you, but I do want you to survive, or I don't want you to survive, and then maybe I do, and then you're like, who's that, why are they chained up? And it gets very strange.
One more person asked me that today. Jeez.
I know. What is happening? So, but they're all, again, sort of kind of sort of similar in their style and their sort of how they're sort of set up. It is all quite similar. So these people, we have seen the victims, we've seen the people breaking in, we've seen the victim turn it round on them. So there's a lot of variety even within this quite samey genre.
Yeah.
Subgenre, I think, is probably more accurate.
Because it would be a subgenre of horror, I suppose, isn't it?
Or a niche. I don't know.
I think what sticks out about like home invasion horror movies, and the reason that, like I said before, a lot of people have different things they don't like.
Mm.
It's such a really human thing to hate home invasion because
Yeah.
it's your home, it's where you live, it's your
Yep.
safe space.
Where you sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And people coming into that unannounced, uninvited, to do you harm.
Yep.
That's a scary thing, especially like you said when you add in the elements of sensory deprivation. Humans are conditioned to be afraid of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone invades your safe space and you're, compromised in some way,
Yeah.
that's scary. It's scary stuff.
Definitely. I think that's something that these films all do really, really well, is play on that innate sort of fear of, your personal space being invaded and your home being invaded. And I think, and the idea of, well, what would you do if you were woken up in the middle of the night and someone was breaking in? Cry, probably.
Yeah.
Throw
What happened?
caution about him and hope she went crazy on him.
She would want strokes.
She would not be useful in that sense at all. No. Yeah, it is a really interesting sort of niche in the horror genre that I find really interesting, and I've seen a lot of the sort of home invasion horror film. Like I said, it was so popular not that long ago. It's sort of, I think, maybe pulled away a little bit now. It's sort of not as common. The last few horrors that we've seen coming out have been a little more down different routes. But I'm just thinking you could actually probably
Us.
I was just about to say, yeah, you could definitely put us in that sort of home invasion sort of subgenre.
And that's even more kind of scary as well, because it's not only a home invasion, it's you, because they're doppelgangers. It's yourself you're being confronted with yourself in your own home. I love that film so much. It was so good.
It was really good, and I think that has some really, really, really strong horror elements mixed with the sort of home invasion ideas as well, because like you say, it had the ideas of the sort of doppelganger and your house being invaded, and also that sort of like lack of remorse. I thought that was really, really interesting, and the fact that you just do not know what's happening until the end, and then even then you're like, hang on, like, what's going on? Where did they get the scissors from? Where did they get the jumpsuits from? Jordan Peele, I have questions.
Please contact us on the
Please
email.
contact us at valkyriesonline@gmail.com. Please answer our questions.
But no, that was a great film, and that has got a lot of like body and performance horror in it, which you also hate.
Which I do also hate. I really like I think it's particularly the little boy, and the way he moves, and the sort of clicks and the ticks, and the sort of really almost feral nature that he sort of embodies, that really like gets under my skin quite a lot.
You were not having a good time when you watched
I was
that,
not having a great time.
You were not having a good time.
No way. That was stressful. Like Georgie didn't go well with quite a lot of Midsummer, but for me, us and the creepy body movements, whoa, no thank you.
I don't like seeing people's heads caved in off rocks. You don't like seeing creepy feral boys.
No.
We have things.
We each have our different things that we have to quickly cover the eyes of while we're watching horror films.
Yeah, exactly.
So this has pretty much been it. This has been your little roundup of home invasion horrors. So I'm going to take Georgie through our flowchart, and we're going to find out what mood she's in for what kind of home invasion horror.
I'm excited.
Yeah, okay, so do you fancy watching something scary?
Yes.
Okay, where do you want it to be set?
No.
No, well, if you say no, it takes you to Silence of the Lambs.
You can tell you made it, can't you?
It can, yeah. Okay, so where do you want it to be set? In the city or the country?
Countryside for me is scarier, so I'm going to say city.
Nice. Do you want it to be more of a thriller than a horror?
Yes.
Okay, so our recommendations would be Panic Room or
Okay.
Inside.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
What if I went country route?
If you went down the country route, do you want it to be a lone victim or not?
Yes, because that's really scary.
Okay, so that gets you Hush, Don't Breathe, Wait Until Dark, and You Are Not Alone.
That's some good choices there.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you'd have said no,
Lone
you'd have gone for Do You Want a Family? If yes, you'd have been taken to Funny Games or The Strangers.
Funny games. No, I'm not.
No would have taken you to a sole male victim. If you did want a sole male victim, you'd get Knock Knock.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also maybe a Norwegian one you could sort of go along those lines on called Nabaue. That's a bit of a strange one. So if you didn't want if you didn't want solo male, but you wanted to go for a world cinema route, then you could go for Eel,
Yeah.
Funny Games, or Kidnapped.
Yeah.
For a supernatural route, we would suggest It Comes at Night.
It Comes at Night.
Yeah. Something with a twist. You've got You're Next or Intruders, and something with a heck of a lot of violence. We would recommend The Purge, Straw Dogs, and Inside.
I don't like any of them because they're super gross and vile.
So they're your real Sunday afternoon watches when it's nice and bright outside and you've got a cup of tea.
Yes.
Safety time.
Sit next to you with a really big baseball bat.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. So that is pretty much your lot for the home invasion horror films. So as we go along, we are going to look at them a couple more one by one. We're going to do some deep dives into what makes them so good, and we are going to bring you some special guests to talk about them with. So that's going to be exciting.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So we're going to focus on home invasion for a couple of weeks, and then we'll move on to a different topic within the horror genre. So we're always taking suggestions. So if you want to drop us a suggestion of something to talk about or a different subgenre or niche of horror that you're interested in, let us know in the comments. If you join our Patreon, you can come and join us on the show for one of our mid-tier rewards. So that's worth doing.
They're good to you lot.
We are really good, so you get to enjoy your time talking to us, and that's your lot. That's your lot for today. So we'll see you soon. Check out the other videos. We've got some really good comic content getting up there every week. We just talked about horror comics, funnily enough.
Shocker.
Shocker. Check out the other podcast episodes. We've got quite a lot on there about Georgie Romero. We talked Del Toro also. And then there's some really good interviews with some of our comic creator pals. So be sure to go check them out. You can listen to them on any good podcast platform. We recommend Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for us today.
Yeah. Stay safe, everyone. Don't let the creepy people come into your house at night.
Absolutely. Make sure that you lock your doors, you shut your windows, sleep with a teddy bear, and maybe a baseball bat. And we'll see you next time.
This has been a PSA.
This has been a PSA. Stay safe out there, guys. We love you.
We do.
All right. Be good, kids.
Bye.
Bye.